Konnichiwa. Ciao, guys. Namaste. Or whatever greetings you prefer. I'd love to know what your favourite greeting is, what your favourite word or language is, or whatever. Or your favourite word in any language, especially Asian languages or whatever, or just languages generally, but in particular Asian languages. What do you think about the word konnichiwa? Konnichiwa. Have I pronounced it right? And namaste, or any other words. Again, preferably in Asian languages because I want to focus on Asian empowerment. But yeah, I was going to focus on the Facebook page, but I'm having a few technical issues with Facebook. So I hope you can hear me. Hope it records as well as possible. Sorry about this, guys. I'm on YouTube or watching in the future. It took a while to get around to. Please blame Facebook, just like in part 2. Come on. Finally, take 2. This is on Facebook. But yeah, sorry. Anywho, once again, konnichiwa, namaste, and all that. I almost said, and seasons, greetings. Anyway, greetings in Asian languages and in English or whatever. I can barely speak English, so I don't know any other languages. But yeah, this is take 2 on Facebook because Facebook's been glitching or having some problems, basically tech issues. I call it glitching, but I don't know if that's the right word, but or the right way of putting it. But like even editing posts or things like that, sometimes with videos, I have to go back and redo the time and that kind of thing because it's clearly not loading. If I give it a certain amount of time, it's not loading and all that kind of thing. So anyway, it becomes apparent that it's not loading. Anyway, welcome to part 3, the third and penultimate part of Asian Wednesdays. I hope you enjoy it. And I'm way behind schedule. I think I'll try and finish part 4 when I get up. Technically today, or it is already Thursday, as it's the 21st technically, and it's a Thursday now. But hopefully I'll go through all possible unfinished business. But just like with my paperworks, it's difficult when I try and do everything all at once. I've got to break it down into bite-sized chunks, like they say with the GCSEs here in Britain. Don't know if they still do that, but bite-sized stuff like revision. I'm not really into academia, but a long time ago I had to do my GCSEs. But fortunately, I've aged up since then. But I didn't even go to the gym today. I did go for a short walk, but not very long one. Of course, generally what short means. But and I did do a bit of writing, but yeah, not going to the gym and not finishing, not getting around to fourth and final part is a bit annoying, but it is what it is. I for whatever reason, haven't managed to organise my time as well as I'd like. A bit of procrastinating, watching too much TV, eating too much, or whatever it might be. But yeah, I always seem to take on more than I can manage. But excuse me. At least once I managed to avoid my writer's block with my food trying to digest. Had some heavy Indian food, but anywho, I'll say this is the third and penultimate part, so I'm waffling all over the place. So these are pointers number 21 to 30. I was going to say that's what I was trying to think of. I did manage to not oversleep for once. I think I managed to get by on quite little sleep. Sometimes I sleep quite a lot, so I think I managed to get by on 6 or 7 hours sleep today, technically yesterday. But anyway, here goes. So number 21. I did mention if there's anything I've forgotten in part 2, I'll try and cover it, especially in pointers number 11 or just generally. And I remembered, I think, when I went for a walk. Sorry. I think it's just because I had a late shower as usual. But anyway, I remembered when I went for a walk. I think it was when I went for a walk that I remembered something I forgot to cover in point number 13. So in point number 13, given my use of alliterations, I forgot to say another word that begins with W, which is, I know from a selfish point of view, I'd love to see Italian teams winning and becoming world class. But I forgot to say, like, for in for Asia, like, heaven forbid, Asia having illnesses, diseases, natural disasters, wars. I suppose they kind of already have gone through a lot of those things recently, unfortunately, including Iran, Japan, and other places. I wish to God they wouldn't. Obviously, I want the opposite to happen to what I worry about. But I hope they can work together to work on whether tackling those problems. So yeah, working on tackling those problems, working together to solve problems and that kind of thing. But yeah, for point number 13, I forgot to say my worries for Asia, like, again, Asia having illnesses, diseases, natural disasters, and things like that. Unfortunately, seems to have happened recently, and heaven forbid be happening and be very likely to happen in the near future. So yeah, I hope they can solve those problems by working together. I hope they can work together to solve those problems, work together to get things done. Another thing I forgot to say, which is I probably should have said in the opposite order, but um, again, partly from a selfish point of view, but also from the point of view of a first world problem, I guess. But after talking about football, my worries for Italian football, Italy failing to qualify for 20 World Cups in a row has been pretty bad, and I worry whether Italy will get to the World Cup. I was a nervous laugh, but whether Italy will get to the World Cup in the future, and even if we do, whether we'll get far as an Italian fan. Also, Italian clubs, will they improve? Also, Celtic, like, one of the biggest things I wanted to say about normally I say Celtic is not really a selfish thing to support them because they were born of poverty and oppression, and they were started as a charity to help those of Irish descent who were fleeing famine and that kind of thing. And I support them as an anti-imperialist. So I say this stuff. When I support Italy and Italian football, it's more of a selfish thing, as I see it, just because I think I look Italian and I support them since I was younger. But sorry, I'm taking quite a while to get to this point, I know. But yeah, so those were some of the things I forgot. But what I was going to say is because when Celtic won the league, which was very good on Saturday, and I'm hoping Celtic will win a double this Saturday coming. I saw the headlines later, and it said about there was a lot. There seemed to be like crowd trouble, but I didn't think huge amount about it, except for like, some of the Celtic sports have ruined it. And maybe I'm sure it takes two to tango. I'm sure it's on both sides, perhaps. But pointing the pots, what's I call them, pots, hands up. But yeah, I'm not going a bit off topic. I'd love to promote Italian football and Celtic across Asia, and investors and that kind of thing to help them to become world class. But I hope that will happen ASAP. I'd love to see Italy do better in the World Cup and Italian club teams do better in Europe and internationally. I know Aston Villa won 3-0, and I think Crystal Palace might win, and or even if they don't, I think it's a Spanish team, so they'll go further ahead of the Italian teams. So I do hope one day that Italian football will catch up at club and country level. I suppose Italy's on 4 World Cups, but I dream that we'll catch up with and even overtake Brazil somehow. And I also dream that in order to make up for it, I dream to support Brazil's economy, and also I dream that Italian club teams will somehow catch up with and even overtake EPL, English Premier League, and La Liga teams. But I fear that the gap might even go bigger as they get more investment. And even if Italian teams do start winning, will it be quick enough? Will the world last long enough? So one of my silly sort of first world problems, if you like, is the world to last long enough. I hope the world will last for another 100 years, or even until the year 3000 or whatever, however long that would be. Just so Italian teams can hopefully get their act together and win, I hope, if they ever do. But yeah, with Celtic, they said that there was something people posted about. Again, I know I'm going a bit off topic, but there was something people posted about, like a match in Europe. I can't remember what teams they were, but it could have been Red Star Belgrade or something like that. And I'm not sure. But anyway, apparently they won the game and won the league, but then they got a points deduction, and the other team got 3 points, and they won by 3-0. And heaven forbid if that did happen to Celtic, because they say there's a claim that they, as in the rankers and France, I'm not sure I call them France and the rankers, I think they're just being sore losers. But I do feel like, what if FIFA, UEFA, and or the SPL? Sorry, I didn't mean to raise my middle finger there, but honestly, like, if they do, heaven forbid, say that, like, because the referee said they did blow the whistle, but what if they claim they didn't later on or whatever? But then they'll be exposed as lying. So maybe they could sue Hearts for accusing them. Again, they could sue Hearts for accusing them of lying. But yeah, I feel like, what if it is like a forfeited game? What if they say the match was abandoned and they give Hearts a 3-0 victory? Sorry, again, Hearts a 3-0 victory. I hope that doesn't happen, of course, but that's my worry. Worry Wednesdays. But so, yeah, some people might say that's all you got to worry about. You don't have much to worry about, but because of my mental health problems and all that, little things like football are really important. And I do take football really seriously. I remember an Arsenal fan, which is another disappointing thing. Arsenal won. I'd rather them win and Celtic win than Man City and Hearts, but I'd rather Celtic and Man City have won. But if I'm really picking, if I'm being really picky, and I'm hoping PSG beat Arsenal in the final. Arsenal, I definitely hope they will, and I hope their fans will behave. PSG fans, and not ruin it. Yeah, those are some of my fears. Like Arsenal winning a double, Celtic messing up the final on Saturday and losing another final, and Shagor having 3 points deducted. Heaven forbid. Hopefully it won't happen. As I say, these are my worries. Maybe I shouldn't dwell on them too much, but expressing them helps me perhaps to move on and hope that it won't happen. But yeah, sorry, I did cover that in a lot of detail. But yeah, I was thinking, like, if we did get a 3-0 defeat and that cost us 3 points and that kind of thing, because Celtic finished on 82. Funny enough, I was born in the year 82. Big numbers for Celtic. Before I move on to point number 22, I'll say big numbers for Celtic. In fact, I will say in point number 22, moving on. So the video has gone longer than planned as usual. No wonder it takes me so long to get things done if I dawdle on things or whatever, but whatever the right word is. But two big numbers for Celtic are 67, as in 1967, obviously 67 for short, when Celtic became the first British team to win the equivalent of the Champions League, and 88, 1888, 88 short for 1888, when Celtic was officially founded. I think it was actually founded the year before, but when it became an official team, which was a lot later than the Rankers, which gave them a lot more time. So I think our success is probably even more impressive, considering how many things the underdogs have had to battle, being Celtic, like the oppressed and all that kind of thing. But anyway, that was a bit of a side note. But yeah, 82 is the year I was born, 1982 obviously. But yeah, I'm hoping. I mean, the claim is that people ran onto the pitch. Basically, I probably didn't explain that very well. Celtic supporters ran onto the pitch, and which is what did happen. There's evidence on that, but people are saying that they did it before the final whistle even was, what's the word, whistled or whatever, but blown. Sorry, before the final whistle was blown. But I mean, it was about 30 seconds left, so I think it's pretty much mathematically impossible for them to get two goals in that amount of time, which is what they needed. By the time they took the kick off, I mean, the referee claims that he blew the whistle already, as far as I'm aware. And I hope maybe the SPFL could take Hearts to court for bringing them into disrepute or whatever, bringing the game into disrepute, or bringing Scottish football into disrepute by accusing them of corruption or collusion or whatever. So that'd be interesting. I think if that happened, the opposite to what I worry about. But, I mean, people might say, only worry about things you can control and get on with things. I often think, like, point number 21, I wish I could remember things, but point number 22, I wish I could get on with things and just do the best I can and keep going. And I hope that's what football teams like Celtic will do. I actually forgot to mention as well about LCFC and Birmingham. Maybe Asian nations could host places football or sports teams generally, which have a large Asian diaspora around the world. But yeah, also what Asians can work on in the future to build the future by working together. I'd love for Asians to work together and network together worldwide, especially in Asia itself, and Asian nations to host events like Central Asian nations could invite people from the diaspora as well as people from across Asia. In hindsight, I would have said that point in 21, but the point was going on longer than planned, so I decided to move on. But yeah, I'd love for them to talk about what they can work on towards the future. Number 23, I wonder what could be done to support Asian poets, artists, writers, and promote works by Asians and that kind of thing. For instance, how can there be more funding for poets, artists, and writers from Asia and for those of Asian descent around the world, including those from poorer backgrounds, like in orphanages, disadvantaged communities? How can funding be made to help them to have schools and that kind of thing? Hopefully, whilst learning how to keep children and others safe. Normally, with my stationery, when it's like lined paper, I always like to keep it for myself. I'm very tight when it comes to my stationery, but because of my writing is already because of the fact my writing is already quite wonky anyway, the unlined paper, especially the paper of different colours and all that kind of thing, I'd love to donate that to artists, including from Asia, as well as developing nations generally. But in the future, hopefully, Asian nations will be as wealthy as possible. Also, on that note, how can Asians, including Asian women and children, be supported to build wealth, and including through poetry, art, writing, entrepreneurship, and all sorts of different areas? What are the best ways for Asians to build wealth? Number 24, Asians worldwide. I'd love for them to network together. Maybe there could be organisations like Worldwide Asians, Asians Worldwide, and whatnot. So just like an Asian alliance, which I wish to create for promoting Pan-Asianism, this could be more global, so it could connect the diaspora, or however you pronounce it, worldwide as well. So countries like Hong Kong, Malaysia, Central Asian nations, China, India as well, and all over Asia, ASEAN, and literally all of Asia, but especially Central Asia and Malaysia mainly. Again, places like Hong Kong, China, maybe even Taiwan, and places like that, putting their differences aside, how could they host events including people from the diaspora? I suppose there's only so much space and time with like people's calendars and diaries, as well as like how much space people have to move and that kind of thing. But it could be where they discuss how to build wealth through tourism in different areas. Not trying to think ones in the weird, but how can they support poets, artists, writers, entrepreneurs, and whatnot from around the world of Asian descent, and maybe allies as well coming together? How can they learn things about like how to have child protection and things like that? But yeah, Worldwide Asians or Asians Worldwide could be organisations, or at least an organisation. Which one would be a better name? Worldwide Asians or Asians Worldwide? Which one do you think? Maybe they could be both. Which would bring Asians of all ages and backgrounds, genders and whatnot, even sexualities, together to discuss how to help Asia to build wealth and network together, cooperate together. I talk about like walking groups, working out, and things like that, but they could talk about funding for poets, artists, and writers. And just like any investment, it might be short term where they have to pay towards helping those things, but to develop those things. But then in the longer term, it could pay back, hopefully multifold. But yeah, so Malaysia, Central Asian nations, Hong Kong, China, Taiwan, ASEAN, India, and places like that, Indonesia, Singapore, Vietnam, even maybe even Iraq, if it's safe enough. They could try and talk about like how peace could help with tourism and help them to host events. But they could invite delegates, diplomats, and a few politicians, maybe a handful, to discuss ideas, and then they can go back. So if Malaysia hosts an event, they wouldn't have to necessarily invite so many people from different Asian nations. They could invite a handful or even a couple of handfuls of people from China, and same for India and as many parts of Asia as possible, and also the diaspora, and including diplomats, delegates, politicians, wealth builders, wealth creators, poets, artists, writers, or whatever it might be from around the world. So hopefully they can basically build a network of Asians worldwide. Some of it could be done via Zoom, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, social media generally, or whatever, and some of it through websites and whatever, and some of it could be in person by hosting events, hopefully especially in Asia. Again, inviting those from the diaspora, those who live outside of Asia, Asians abroad, who can come and teach and help to build wealth and a wealth of knowledge and that kind of thing. Number 25, I hope to work on benefiting Asia's republics. I was thinking actually about how Mr. Modi is in India, or I think he's just leaving Italy, and people joke about Melody, #Melody, where he has a good relationship with the leader of Italy, Giorgia Meloni, for those who don't know. Or just remind people. But yeah, they make a Melody. But I was thinking that they do have a relative amount in common. I know I support Temple and I support India economically, but or try to at least. And I'd love for my ideas to benefit both and Asia generally as well. But yeah, I love to combine those things together. My dyslexic creativity and connectivity, I guess, in this case, connecting things together. But I was thinking now both of them have like a tricolor kind of flag, and they're both republics, they're both democracies and things like that. So I'm sure they have quite a lot in common, and they certainly like to work together. Maybe they could celebrate each other's Republic Days, and be invited to each other. But for Italy, I would specifically, and especially or whatever, like it to be through football. So if on Italy's National or Republic Day or whatever, or Italy could host a Republic Day and learn from India, but I would love for them to host it more to benefit football, because I specifically only support Italy in and for the footy. Whereas with India, I hope it benefits the whole economy and maybe other sports too. But with Italy, I'd only want it to benefit football specifically. I know I'm mad, but moving on, number 26. Maybe Asian nations could work together with African nations and countries that colonized, even Ireland perhaps, for instance, and colonized communities like indigenous Australians and native people from the Americas to work on reparations. Number 27, they could also work on offering rewards and awards, having award ceremonies. Those two words are fairly similar. I guess they're kind of connected, rewards and awards. But yeah, they could honour those who support and invest in and fund Asian wealth building, Asian poets, artists, writers, and whatnot, for instance, as well. But yeah, so those they could have an award for the top 40 or 50 or 100 or whatever, or top 10 or 20 or whatever number they choose of artists, poets, artists, and lyrical writers. They can have different categories, including young poets, artists, and lyrical writers. Those with disabilities. The irony of a dyslexic writer and things like that, and also wealth builders for Asia, those who build wealth and unity in Asia, and all sorts of things like that, and also those who fund poets, artists, and lyrical writers. They could have awards for that as ideas. As I say in these videos, I like to suggest my mad ideas, I guess, recommend such. Number 28, I hope they can work together to take negative situations into positives. For instance, I was thinking about the disputed territories, and again, I know I've mentioned this in the past, my infamous words, but between like China and India, they could use that area where they are divided to actually instead unite together and support each other, and they can network together, I guess. Number 29, I'd also love for part Asians to support Asia as well, maybe, including, I think some people use the term Wasian to mean white and Asian, but also Eurasians, like people of European and Asian descent, and I think different European Asian descents and that kind of thing. And number 30, I would love for Asians to get to, I wish to God that Asians could be, I guess this would be more empowering for the males, but they could be like porn stars, gigolos and that kind of thing, and get white women and get some ass and that kind of thing. White women reparating Asians for racism and colonization, but yeah, if Asians can get some ass and that kind of thing. I know I normally say my immature one, but they, and it rhymes with they, and also it's towards the end of the video. Anyway, I probably shouldn't let people know how mad I am, but yeah, professionals and all that kind of thing as well. And I'm out, and peace out.